What's up, y'all? It's Fitz. Tonight, we are going to be talking about how HBCUs are perpetuating a victim culture. They are affirming a victim culture. I'm going to get straight into it. I don't want to hold y'all too long on this live tonight. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Okay, so for those of you who've been living under a rock, don't know what's happened recently, there was a group of, I want to say like 4 or 5 Trump supporters that has been touring around, I guess, the South or whatever, going to different universities, kind of like what Charlie Kirk did, exactly what Charlie Kirk did. And they happened upon an HBCU, right? These Trump supporters went to an HBCU as they did all of these other universities. Some things they said people agreed with, some things they didn't agree with at other universities. Same was happening at the HBCU. Now, the story ended up blowing up because those students were surrounded by the students at the HBCU, or not the students, the Trump supporters were surrounded by students at the HBCU who were becoming more hostile, who were stealing stuff from them, and eventually those students were escorted by the police off campus. Now, I don't want to get into, because the whole conversation has been centered around, well, though you need a permit to set up a table and debate with students, and they didn't have a permit, and that's really why they were surrounded by the students, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's BS, but I don't want that to be the focal point of the conversation. My concern is what we saw on video and also the response of the HBCU, the university. So if you watch the video, what you will see are college students surrounding just people who I'm assuming that they disagree with and pretty much acting uncivilized, yelling things, being very aggressive, things such as that, right? Now, I get it, it's college. We can expect those things. I'm not even saying that that doesn't happen in white schools, PWIs and things like that. When things are said, I mean, for God's sakes, Charlie Kirk was assassinated in Utah, right, by a white person, allegedly. So I'm not saying it's exclusive to HBCUs. What I am saying, though, as a black man, when I think of HBCUs, I think of them as the place where black excellence and black education should be at the forefront, and that should be the pillar, right? And I want to say this. I'm one of those people who believe that it takes more strength and dignity to rise above a situation than to stoop lower. So, for example, I remember watching a clip of Muhammad Ali talk about how he's not going to fight in the army or whatever. He's not drafted. He's whatever. He got drafted. He wasn't going to fight. Now, he could have crashed out. He probably had every right to. But instead, he took that moment to speak truth to power. He took that moment to say, look, y'all are racist here. That's right. Go watch the interview where Muhammad Ali was speaking truth to power to the United States government, saying, y'all are racist here. You want me to go fight in a war against people that have never done anything to black people just so I can come home and be discriminated against, just so I can come home and face racism. He spoke truth to power, and in that moment, you felt proud of him being a representation of black people. Now, when I watch a group of black students at an HBCU that we know is probably underfunded already, that we know based on the research and statistics, they're not going to get job offers in the same way that maybe a PWI graduate would get, right? We know this. We know that HBCUs are under attack and have been under attack in recent years. So when I watch a video of students, black students at an HBCU conduct themselves in that way, and I speak out against it, people assume that I'm selling out. That's the narrative. That's some of the comments that I've been seeing is like, you're supporting white people. You're for white people. You're saying something against them behaving that way, so you're for white people. That could be the furthest thing from the truth. I'm for us being represented in a positive light. Hold up. I got children. One sec. They interrupted. Hey, I'm on a live video. Go play. All right. My bad, y'all. I'm for us representing ourselves in a positive light. So we got a comment. Someone says, why does it always have to be black or white? Great question. So we're on this live, I'm talking about an HBCU. That stands for Historically Black College and University. So this was a university that was set up to educate black people at a time when we were not given access to education. So that's why I'm having a discussion about race. On my channel, I like to talk about race because I've studied it for years and I think it's an interesting topic. It doesn't always have to be about black or white, but in a lot of the conversations that I have, I like to touch on those points because I'm genuinely interested in it. And that's kind of just what grinds my gears a little bit. And I understand that's probably coming from a respectful place. Just wanted to add context. So when I'm watching a group of students, black students, who are supposed to represent the quote unquote best of us from an education and academic perspective, I look at that and I say, they should be better than that. If you don't want to have the debate, that's fine. If you don't want to debate these guys coming on campus and you think that they're trying to be inflammatory or you think they're trying to trigger you and you don't want to debate them, just walk past or go get the people at minimum. Let's say that you don't want them on campus. Go get the security, go get the cops or whatever. And if they're not supposed to be there, have the cops escort them off and you go about your business. Why does it have to be a spectacle? Why does it have to be a spectacle? Like, think about this. Think about this for a second, right? A lot of funding comes from the federal government. If you believe that Trump is racist and you believe that these dudes, Trump supporters, are racist, and you go and make a spectacle like this, do you think you're going to get more or less funding from the federal government that you need? Do you think this is going to make HBCUs look positive or negative? Do you think it's going to bring a positive light or a negative light to them? That was where my criticism was coming from. Was I understand if someone's not supposed to be on campus doing something, I get it, but there's a professional and respectful way to go about it. Now we could sit here and be like, that's how they do us and blah, 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 blah. My point is this. HBCUs, I think, are an important cornerstone of the black community. And when I see people at an HBCU, black students, I expect them to be representing the black community, not just themselves. And I know a lot of people may say, well, why should they be representing the black community? Because the black community supports them. The black community supports them. And that's also, we got a comment. Wally G. Someone said I'm not black. I guess so. Someone said, Wally GS says, in my opinion, most of the conservatives that go on campus to debate are not there to troll. They are there so we can have a dialogue and heal this divide we find ourselves at. I agree. And I made separate video about that, and people call me a sellout. They start calling me names. When I say that, they start saying, you know, you're just supporting white people. You're supporting Trump supporters and all this other stuff. So I didn't want to make that conversation about that, but I genuinely agree. Now, do I think that they're going on campus to get content? Absolutely. I thought about the other day, how much of the content are these people leaving out when it's the positive messages? Are they mainly showing the negative interactions? Are they showing the conversations where it's more respectful? Are they going for the negative stuff? That's a different conversation. From a content perspective, I know what I would probably show. I'd probably show the things that are going to get the most clicks, and oftentimes those are going to be the more negative things. So that's a business decision, right? But if you're there and you're having respectful conversations, I don't think that there's any problem with that. And that's my issue is this, and that's why I wanted to state that I think based off of what the HBCU said afterwards was the students conducted themselves in a respectful way. They conducted themselves in a respectful way, and they didn't call out the negative behavior that we all saw online. I feel like that's problematic because a lot of the students were upset because of their presence. that Trump supporters would even have the nerve to be on campus. Y'all were on campus. And I feel like this is a very dangerous thing because what we know is Trump did get a lot of support from everyday Americans who are not racist, who just want to see change, who are leaning more conservative now. And my thing is this, if you are going to college right now and you think that that liberal mindset that you have in college is going to transfer into the real world, you're mistaken. You're mistaken. If you think that you going and you have a white boss when you get out of college and that's going to get you a higher pay because you say he's racist, it's not. You know what it is though? You know what's going to get you a higher salary? Doing your market research, getting negotiation skills, learning how to communicate and be a people person, communicating with people you disagree with, communicating with people that you disagree with that may have different political opinions than you. And the truth is, right? I've had multiple jobs. I've held in marketing, I've done sales, all those things. The truth is, most people just want to show up and do this job. Most people want to show up and do their job. They not worried about all this like that. And that's the beautiful thing I think about America is you can have all these different opinions and still have like a goal. Like I want to take care of my family. I want to make money. I want to do what I got to do, handle my business and go about my way. I think that's most people. It just gets hyper inflated on these college campuses because that's what they're living 24/7 and they believe that that's the real world. Like when I got into college, I have a bachelor's and a master's degree. When I got into college, I was like police are racist, you know, F the cops and da da da. Most of that wasn't based on what I had experienced. Most of that was from things I had heard from other people. Most of that was from music I listened to. Most of it was from unresearched thought patterns that I had that I didn't really even explore. It wasn't until I actually had to start doing research for my classes and defend based on the research why I thought the way I thought that it really made me open up my mind. So from that perspective, college did really open up my mind from a research perspective and like, oh, I can't really substantiate this based on the research. And so that's what led me down the path of questioning a lot of the things that I had questioned before. So I'm grateful that I didn't get really indoctrinated in the quote unquote liberal mindset that I see plaguing a lot of these campuses. And unfortunately, I really hope that the HBCUs push a stronger sense of accountability and a stronger sense of, you know, you need to talk to people that you disagree with. You need to talk to people that you disagree with because in the real world, you're going to have disagreements. In the real world, when you go out and just blame everything on racism, guess what you're doing? You're taking time away from building the skills that you actually need to upgrade. You're taking time away from the skills that you need to upgrade because logically, if you didn't get a job or you didn't get a raise or a promotion because of racism, you have nothing to fix. It's outside of your control. It's outside of your control. We got a comment. Sean said, no colleges make students do that. Black ones or PWIs. Can you be specific? Do what? I said a lot. Sean, you said no colleges make students do that. Black ones or PWIs. Do what? Wally GS says exactly. You can't just shout down your op or even worse, hurt them because you disagree. Exactly. Sean said no college makes the students be more accountable. I think that's a good point. Let me explain what I mean by more accountable, right? When I say more accountable, and actually I would disagree with that because colleges do have certain standards and things like that, and they do, you know, hold their students when they're representing the college to certain standards, and they are accountable for certain things. But here's what I mean by that. When you are an HBCU and your target demographic are African Americans, Black people, and you're trying to provide self-empowerment as well, because let's be clear, that's part of what an HBCU is there for, is to be there for a sense of empowerment, help with empowering kind of like the psyche and the confidence of Black people to be like, this is something you should be proud of. So I feel like part of that messaging should be when you go out into the real world, you are not only accountable for your actions, but you also have to be accountable for how you think. You have to be accountable for the way that you deal with disagreements. You have to be accountable for the way you represent yourself, even when you think you're wronged. Because, I see a lot of things online saying, Black people saying, we're not our grandparents. We're going to stand up for ourselves and things like that. All right, cool. We're going to stand up for ourselves. If someone calls you the N-word to your face and you shoot, stab, kill them, you're still going to prison. You're still, no matter how justified you think you are, you're still going to prison. Wally GS said, need to hop off. You got yourself a subscriber. Appreciate it. Keep up the good work, bro. If we dialogue like this, our country will help. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you for the subscribe. If you're in the live stream right now, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, please. Thank you so much. Sean says, as far as self-awareness, I went to Bowie State. The main thing was proud to be Black. It wasn't about white people, rather how I felt about myself. And that's good. That's good, right? I would ask, when did you go to Bowie State? Because right now what I'm seeing is, I think that colleges in general have become a safe zone. So you said you went 2000, 2002, completely different experience than now. Completely different experience. I bet you in 2000, 2002, one of the main conversations in your college wasn't whether a man could be a woman or a woman could be a man. I bet you that wasn't one of the main conversations. So my point is this: colleges have become a safe zone. And my worry, and understand, when I speak about the Black community, I'm not speaking down on the Black community or Black culture. I'm speaking from a place of frustration sometimes and us doing better. So if colleges are now becoming a safe zone, and what we know about safe zones is that they're not applicable to the real world. If Black people are already behind when it comes to wealth, if we're already behind when it comes to the amount of managers we should see, entrepreneurship, all of these different things, all of these different metrics, if we are learning in a safe space and we try to go take that safe space mentality out there in the real world, we're going to fall farther behind. We're going to fall farther behind. So that's what I mean by accountability. Hey, we're at an HBCU. We're going to lean into it. Are we trying to create students that are going to go out there and out-compete? Are we trying to create students that are we're just going to echo these political sentiments? That's my question. Like, what is the purpose of college then? Why are you going to an HBCU? Is it just be proud to be Black? How much are you being charged so that you can learn to be proud to be Black? Right? But that's my main thing is like, if you're going to these colleges, you should be learning how to deal with disagreement. You should be learning how to express yourself in a respectful way. Because I can tell you this. I've sat in with CEOs. I've reported to CEOs in some of my positions. I've worked as an entrepreneur and worked with investors. And everyone's going to communicate differently. People are going to say things that you don't like. I've had somebody tell me, you know what? I'm going to go with a Hispanic real estate agent because, I just feel like the area we're shopping in, a lot of the listing agents, they're Hispanic. So they're going to respect, or they're going to, do a deal more with a Hispanic person rather than a Black person. Do I crash out? Do I crash out and possibly lose my real estate license because they said something I don't like? Do I follow them to their car and you da-da-da-da-da? Or do I act professional? Do I hold myself to a higher standard? Me, I'm going to hold myself to a higher standard. It's easy to crash out. It's easy to follow people and yell and act a fool. What's more difficult is saying, I don't agree with you. Let me explain my position and remain respectful and remain positive. And I think this is why conservatives won, is because they position themselves as the more reasonable party. This is why white people are now kind of flipping racism on its head and saying, we are being treated racist, because what they're allowing people to do, black people, brown people, they're allowing people to be openly racist so that the world can see. They're pretty much doing what Martin Luther King Jr. did with the sit-ins, where people thought the sit-ins were about, we just don't want to harm white people, we just don't want to, be violent. What the sit-ins were actually doing was leveraging the media, because the media, if you go in there and black and white people are fighting, we already understand that the media is going to be biased against black people and that there's going to be this narrative. But if we show white people being violent towards black people without black people doing anything back, that's a more powerful message. Now we can position the narrative. And I think that's what conservatives and white people are doing when it comes to racism now. They're positioning it as, well, now black people are racist. Because look, black people are openly saying things about white people with DEI, with white people are this and white people are that. They're allowing it to flow so that the world can see something, even if that narrative may not be true. So I feel like that's the trap we keep falling into. And that's the trap that those students fell into with the HBCU, where the students were chased off campus. The students weren't even saying that, or not the students, the Trump supporters weren't even saying anything at a certain point. They were just holding their camera up, recording. Because they know the optics of it. And I'm not mad at the strategy. They know the optics of being, surrounded by a group of black people, and those black people yelling stuff, getting in their face, stealing stuff, hitting their car. They know the narrative. So my question then becomes, how does that make HBCUs look? How does that make HBCUs look? Do you think that the federal government is going to want to spend more money on HBCUs or less? We got a comment. Charles Squirt said, bro, they were stirring the pot. Why go there and miss me with the freedom BS? They were stirring the pot. Why go there and miss me with the freedom BS? Bad, but still they got allowed to be on campus when they shouldn't have been there. Were the students, and what was the purpose? So you're asking me questions that I really couldn't have the answer to. There's going to be multiple sides to it. Some people are going to say they were there to stir the pot. They were there to cause trouble. Other people are going to say they had a right to be there. It's freedom of speech. This is a college campus to debate. I don't personally know them and why they were actually there. All I can do is go based off of the facts. No, they were not students. From my understanding, they were not students. However, there are plenty of people that go on college campuses that are not students. They were and my thing is, okay, let's say this. Let's say that I give you that they were there to stir up problems. Now, what are those problems? Saying things that they know people will disagree with. Okay, if that is what the problem is, we are weak as a community. That shows the chink in our armor. If that's stirring the pot, going somewhere and saying things that people will disagree with because they cannot substantiate their arguments, that lets you know that we're lacking in that area. Because what happens on a political level? If let's say that HBCU has political science majors, and they're not able to articulate and disagree with somebody in a respectful way, how are they going to advocate for more resources in the black community? Right? How are these people going to advocate for higher positions in their jobs? How are they going to advocate for the things that they want if they're community leaders? So even though, let's say that those Trump supporters were there to stir up problems, they got exactly what they wanted, right? Just because they're there to stir up problems doesn't mean we have to give them the pot to cook with. That's my point. Just because they're there to stir up problems doesn't mean we got to bring the utensils and the table and set the table and here's your salad bowl and here's your fork bowl. Like that's my point. So I'm and I'm sorry. I get I get very passionate about these things because I am truly somebody that does not believe in letting your enemy see you bleed, right? So if they know they can stir the pot and they know how to stir the pot, that is tactically a disadvantage for the black community. So why would we ever let them know that that stirs us up? Why would we let them know that? Why would we let them know that? If you really think that they're your enemy, why would you let them know what pushes your buttons? Why would you let them know like, hey, go in the building on the first floor. This is what you do to dismantle us and get us all, in our I'm not, no. If it's me personally and somebody saying something that I don't agree with, that I don't like, the last thing I'm going to do if I think they're my enemy is let them know it's bothering me. I'm definitely not going to act like I saw them students act on the HBCU. He said, that's incitement, bro. That's incitement. I wouldn't consider it incitement. I would say that, because again, it's a debate. They're not going there and like attacking students and trying to incite a riot. They're going there and debating, and and they went to other colleges as well. It wasn't just an HBCU, but I know it sounds like I'm defending them, but all I want to do is get the facts straight, because I think that as the black community, we have to get away from thinking that we're being picked on all the time, or that, or being so sensitive to things, even if they shouldn't have been there. Like, let's say that they actually shouldn't have been there. That's a simple, hey, respect, can you leave campus? Can you leave campus? And then maybe the video we should see is us being respectful and asking them to leave, and then them being like, no, and getting upset or whatever. And then the narrative would be different. But when the video that we see is, the security guards are like protecting them because they're being followed and chased and their cars are being hit and their stuff is being stolen, that's just not a good look. And I don't think it's a good representation of HBCUs, which we already know are under attack, and we actually need support for them. So that's my thing. And I just hope that the HBCUs are not cultivating a victim mentality in these students. I hope that they're being real with them. I hope that, it's a learning lesson that, like, hey, you're going to run into people that they either don't agree with you or they just flat out hate you. They flat out hate you, but you should not let that determine how you conduct yourself. As long as you're not under threat, as long as, like, everything is respectful and things like that, okay. But I just think that we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard. That's it. That's it. And I just didn't like the response from the HBCU when they were saying, the students conducting themselves in a professional manner. If you want to say that they shouldn't have been there, those Trump supporters, okay. But we have to be real. There was nothing professional about the way that the students at the HBCU conducted themselves. I'm sorry. It wasn't professional. I would at least just, hey, the students felt threatened or they felt whatever. But to say that they were respectful, I don't see that. I don't see how it's respectful to hit people's cars. I don't see how it's respectful to run up on them and act like you're going to hit them and steal their stuff and yell and call them names and stuff. To me, that's not respectful. To me, that's not respectful. Especially because we understand that it's not because they didn't have a permit that they were being spoken to that way. It's because of the Trump hats. And they were Trump supporters. Right? Would that have been okay if there was a teacher there that was a Trump supporter? If there was a teacher there that said something they didn't like, would it be okay for a group of the students to like run them off campus and hit their car as they're trying to leave? And then school said that that was respectful and professional? No. So I just think that we have to hold our HBCUs to a higher standard. I don't think any of the students should be expelled. I don't think that any action should be taken against them. But I do think that it's telling when, you know, some like you cannot uphold your ideas to the point that it dissolves into this. That's where I see it being an issue at now. And I think the conservative movement, the Republican movement is winning on that front. They are making people really question the other side. They're making people really question the other side. But I want to talk about solutions. I want to end with solutions. So I'll say this, right? I think moving forward, if you're going to involve yourself in politics, or you're going to have to, you want to say so, and you want to be involved, I think the best thing you can do is, one, strengthen your arguments, but also look at the other side. Look at the other side of what your argument is, and make sure that you are understanding what they're actually saying. What I've found is that a lot of people don't even know what the other side is arguing for. They hear an argument for the first time, and they get emotional, and they don't do any background research. So I think a solution moving forward is, when you hear something that makes you bubble up, gets you fired up, don't respond right away. Don't respond right away. Go and do some background research. Take 10, 20, 30 minutes. Do background research from different sources and really try to get a baseline understanding of things. So that way, when you do respond, you're coming at it from a more informed perspective. You still may disagree, but I think when you arm yourself with the facts and you're able to present it from that perspective, instead of just a pure emotional perspective, then you're better able to argue your position, and you're also able to listen and try to gain information that maybe you didn't have. You still may disagree with the person fundamentally, but there can be a fundamental level of respect. Because think about it. The only reason these people are able to go to college campuses and debate people and get the content that they're able to get is because they know when they go to these college campuses, they're not going to have mostly reasonable conversations. They're going to get people that are in their emotions a majority of the time. So it's not that they're right because they went on a college campus and they're debating and they have all their facts ready. It's that they're mostly not speaking from an emotional perspective. They already have the facts and their arguments prepared for when people come up and they say what they say. You're in your emotions when you come up, or you're in your emotions when you hear the videos and stuff like that. So that's how they actually continue to grow. So if you don't want them to continue to grow, arm yourself with the facts. If you ever run into them on a campus, don't come at it from an emotional perspective. Be respectful, and in the comment sections, be respectful. And that's how you start to even out some of these things. Because as long as you approach it from an emotional perspective, that's how they keep growing. Because now you crash out and they get it on camera. So your crash out is actually building the thing that you say is so dangerous and that you're against. So that's my solution. Be respectful, strengthen your argument, and really just try to listen as well. But yeah, any more comments, anything I can answer before I get off live stream? I might do another video on HBCUs, haven't decided yet. But if you're in the stream right now, or you're watching this on replay, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you liked anything that you heard. If you want to stay updated on everything, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate the support. See if there's any more comments that come in. All right, y'all. Seems like we got no more comments. I appreciate the support. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. My name is Fitz, and I'll see you in the next video.